pretty hot. Kansas State, of course, the favorite in the game. Kansas State -3.5. Tennessee underdog in the game, but they're always a tough underdog. This year, Tennessee was 3-1 as an underdog. Kansas State pulls away 35-21. Quarterback Jonathan Beasley ran for 98 yards and threw for 210 yards and scored 3 touchdowns, 1 running. And he also punted to the 4-yard line late in the game. So this quarterback can do it all for Kansas State. Finally, a big win for Kansas State and their coach. They scored on an interception in the first half, and their defense took over the rest of the way. Kansas State finishes the year 11-3, Tennessee 8-4. Another big victory in the bowl games for the Big 12. Let's go to the next game, South Carolina and Ohio State. Final score, of course, South Carolina 24, Ohio State 7. South Carolina finishes the season a great 8-4 after last year having a full season with no victories. Ryan Brewer had 219 total yards and scored 3 touchdowns. South Carolina had lost 21 straight games coming into this season, so a great turnaround for Lou Holtz. Unfortunately for Coach John Cooper of Ohio State, that loss cost him his job, finishing 3-8 in his career in bowl games and also having trouble beating Michigan. John Cooper's downfall. The funny part about it is the next day announcing his firing, the president of the university stated that it wasn't only bowl games that was the problem. He had lack of internal control over his players. His players had bad grades, and you wonder when the president of the university found out about this. Did he find out just after the bowl game, or did he find out like 2 or 3 years ago? When did he find out? Why is he making the switch now? Because they lost a bowl game, or is it because of the kids? So these guys come out, and if he wins the bowl game, is he going to keep his job or is he going to lose his job? I don't like what he says in the press conference. I think you got to keep that to yourself. Phone number here is 751-5786, 751-5786. I appreciate some calls on any of the bowl games we're going to talk about. Of course, the upcoming football for this weekend, and maybe, of course, talk about the Florida State-Oklahoma situation and the Miami of Florida game. Next game on the agenda is Clemson and Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech victors 41-20. Michael Vick, of course, was the story. He passed for 205 yards and responsible for 2 touchdowns. He also was named MVP of the game, and you got to wonder, is this Michael Vick's last game at Virginia Tech? At the start of the year, Vick said, of course, that he didn't want to talk about it. Then in the middle of the year, he said he's coming back for his junior year. Then people were telling him, of course, he's going to be a first-round draft pick, and maybe who knows what he's going to do. Woody Dantzler had 81 of the 88 yards rushing for Clemson in the game. So really, the quarterback getting 81 of your 88 yards rushing, your team's going to be in trouble, especially against a great team like Virginia Tech. People get talking about the #1 team in the country, and this team should be #1, that team should be #1. Let me tell you something. Virginia Tech finished the season 11-1. Nobody's talking about Virginia Tech, and the only loss they had was a game Michael Vick didn't play in. So, basically the team's undefeated with Michael Vick coming off of last year's season. This team, in case Oklahoma did lose, why weren't they getting any recognition? Why wasn't anybody talking about Virginia Tech? Phone number here, 751-5786. Appreciate some input on any of these bowl games. Next game I want to talk about, Auburn. We got a caller? Go ahead, caller. Gone. Okay. Next game, Auburn and Michigan. This was one of the better games we watched here. Auburn trailed late in the game, came back with a touchdown, had a chance to come back and win, but fell a little bit short, 31-28. Anthony Thomas, the A-train for the University of Michigan, 182 yards, 2 touchdowns. First-time MVP, 2-time winner in Citrus Bowl history. Drew Henson, of course, chipped in for Michigan, 15 of 20, 294 yards and 2 touchdowns. For Auburn, don't forget Ben Leard, even though his team lost almost 400 yards passing for the Auburn quarterback, by far the best game in his career. Watch out for Auburn next year. Let's go to the Rose Bowl. This was an entertaining game. Purdue coming in 8-3, Washington 10-1. The final score was 34-24, Washington knocking off Purdue. Tuiasosopo was the story for Washington, 16 of 22, 138 yards. He also rushed for 75 yards. This is a kid that can do it all. Drew Brees, 23 of 39, 275 yards and 2 touchdowns. Both of them were thrown to Vinnie Sullivan. I think Purdue coming in with an 8-3 record and losing going 8-4, they got to be considered a big disappointment with Drew Brees coming in at the start of the year. Purdue's hopes of an NCAA championship and a big Rose Bowl victory really never materialized. They started the season kind of lackluster, then they lost at Notre Dame and never really got back on track. So finishing 8-4, considered one of the top 5-10 teams in the country to start the year, really isn't something to hang your hat on. Next game, I'm sure I'll get some calls on this. Let me give you the number again, 751-5786. Oregon State, Notre Dame. Notre Dame with a butt whipping here. Oregon State final 41-9 Beavers. Coming in the game, 1.5-point favorites. That line was bet up to 3.5 by the wise guys. Total, of course, was 50.5, and the game landed on 50. You can't get much closer than that. The story of the game for Oregon State was Ken Simonton, the little running back, 5'8", spark plug. We had 18 carries for 85 yards and a touchdown, and the Oregon State offense outgained Notre Dame 446 to 155. Definitely not the type of game Notre Dame wanted in its first January 1st bowl game in years. Chad Johnson had 2 touchdown receptions, but one, if you were watching the game, I know it probably wouldn't have changed anything, but this guy fumbles at the 2-yard line, drops the ball in the goal line, the referee's right behind him, and he still calls a touchdown. If you remember the play, he's wide open, he's going to score, but he tries to celebrate a little too early, drops the ball at the 1, they still call it a touchdown. In a game where they had over 25 penalties called, the referees missed an obvious fumble. Freshman Matt LaVecchio of Notre Dame was 13 of 33 for 138 yards, but he was pressured all day. He was sacked 6 times. Notre Dame really couldn't get anything going. 27 total yards rushing. Julius Jones just never a factor in the game. Oregon State definitely has to be considered one of the best teams in the country this year, finishing the season 11-1, and that one loss, a 3-point loss to Washington. So Oregon State finishes 11-1. They got to have a lot of pride coming in next year with Dennis Erickson. He's got a great recruiting situation for him next year. Go ahead, we got a caller.
Go ahead, caller.
Yes, is this Bill?
Yes, it is.
Bill?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, Bill Lee Tate. Happy New Year.
Hey, Lee. How you doing, pal?
All right, just thought I'd give you a call. I was really interested when you were talking about the John Cooper firing.
Yeah, it's pretty tragic.
Yeah, I'm not hearing you on this end though.
Okay.
But and there's a delay on the TV, so let's hopefully.
I'll let you talk, Lee. Go ahead,
okay.
pal.
I just wanted to get some more of your input. I used to live in Phoenix too when Cooper was coaching down at ASU, and ASU would have these really good seasons, and then they'd lose these bowl games, and then he went to Columbus, and he's had the same kind of track record. Very frustrating. I mean,
Definitely.
I've been a fan of both of these schools.
Definitely.
And it's very frustrating to have Cooper lose these bowl games like this, and especially not winning that big one with Michigan every year. It's a big,
Definitely.
it's a big problem. Yep. So, but I do agree with you. I sense that you think that maybe they handled his firing just a little bit tackily, a little tacky. I think,
Well, did you hear the press conference when he was fired?
No, I didn't. I didn't catch it. But I just was listening to your comments.
Well, rarely do you see a president of a university come out and attack a coach that's, he may not have won bowl games. He was 3-8. I grant you he was 3-8, but definitely the Big Ten Conference is one of the toughest conferences in the country, and a lot of teams don't beat Michigan. And if that's the reason he's fired, then that's the reason he's fired. Don't come out and say he doesn't have control over his students or they're not doing their job in the classroom. Why don't they do that before the bowl game or in the middle of the season?
Well, I totally agree. I'm going to let you go because we may be out of sync here. So,
Appreciate it, Lee.
Hey, best of New Year to you and yours.
Same to you and your family, pal. Okay, phone number again, 751-5786. I got 2 more games that I didn't give Vern. That was my fault. Florida and Miami of Florida, of course, the January 2nd bowl game. Miami of Florida with hopes of becoming national champions coming into the game 10-1 against Florida, coming in at 10-2. Miami, of course, the victors 37-20. Big game for Ken Dorsey, 22 of 40, 270 yards, and, of course, 3 touchdowns. Total yards, though, that was a different story. 454 for Miami, 452 for Florida. Much closer than people would have thought. Go ahead, we got a caller.
Mr. Foley.
Hey, how you doing, Rich?
Richard.
How you doing, pal?
I got a question for you. I don't know much about sports, but
Okay.
I'm like learning from your show.
All right.
But they fire coaches for no reason?
Well, it's not that they fire them for no reason, but
is it the coach's responsibility to make sure that the football players all have good grades? Wouldn't that be the students, not the coach?
if that's exact, well, the coach has to have some type of guidelines and discipline, but as far as, doing schoolwork, these guys are, 19, 20 years old. If they haven't learned to do schoolwork from first grade on, then, there's problems somewhere. They got teachers to look after them to make sure they do their schoolwork. If that's not done, then they should report that to the coach or the athletic director or even the school president and to get the guy off the team. But don't come out and basically blame the firing of the coach because these students aren't doing their homework. So it's got to start somewhere. If he's not doing the homework, then the teacher has to notify somebody. If the teacher notified Cooper and he's not getting on the students and suspending them or disciplining them or whatever the situation may be, however severe it may be, then that's his fault. But if he's not informed, if he doesn't know what's going on, then I don't think you can, you can hold the coach liable. I mean, the guy's been real successful. He has been 3-8 in bowl games, but these students got to start taking accountability for themselves. I mean, everybody has to be responsible for themselves. At 18, you're an adult, and now these guys are in college getting a free education, and if they don't want to do their schoolwork, they're missing the boat. And to blame the coach for that, I think, is outrageous.
Look what they did to UNLV basketball coach.
Well, that's a real sore spot with me. I mean, I could talk about that for 5 hours.
That's a mess because
Between Maxon, Weaver, and the Massimino situation, UNLV has never recovered. It's been 10 years. They haven't won a tournament game since then. And it's a situation where they're only getting 10,000 fans at the game. And I used to have season tickets to Rebel games when they played basketball. And, I mean, there was standing room only. I watched Navy play with David Robinson, the biggest crowd UNLV ever had, and I was sitting on the stairs. I mean, UNLV basketball was the biggest thing in this town, brought everybody together. But the situation with Tarkanian that happened in 1992, where he resigned and he wrote a book about it, and the stuff in the book has all been substantiated. And it was just a bad situation. I don't know how deep it's going to go with Cooper. He's going pretty quietly. But, the whole situation, like I said, the students have to be accountable for their own grades. And the coaches have a little bit of accountability. But, I mean, really, these guys are now 19, 20, 21 years old getting a free education. They don't want to learn, get them out of school.
Well, did you see where they put the UNLV basketball coach?
Yeah, I seen that. Yeah, he's in charge of fundraising and camps.
Oh, that's really smart.
Yeah, well,
I mean, his intelligence is on the court, not in the book room.
Well, UNLV's going to have to make a decision at the end of the year. Max Good, obviously, even if Max Good wins the tournament, which they're not even allowed to go in, he's not going to stay. Max Good's a journeyman coach. He's basically 60 years old. UNLV said they wanted to go in a younger direction, like they did with Bano, but I think they got to come in with a decent name, and not Bobby Knight. They don't need a Bobby Knight here.
My personal feeling is if the teacher can't teach, get rid of him, not the coach.
Right. Well, and it's a situation where the coach and the teacher and the student all have to get together instead of just blaming one person. Appreciate the call, Rich.
Thanks, Mr. Fuller.
All righty. We're going to go to a break. We'll be right back, talk about the Miami-Florida game a little bit more, Oklahoma and Florida State NCAA championship, and the rest of the NFL. Be right back.
Visit Parenth Florist, your full-service florist, located in the 372 Plaza. We're open 7 days a week and can provide balloons, silks, gifts, cards, and all your floral arrangements. We also feature a 10% senior discount on Tuesdays. That's Parenth Florist at 1190 East Highway 372 in the 372 Plaza.
Desert Stone and Tile sets the tone and style with 32 years experience. Ask us about our foreign and domestic tile, oak cork and bamboo flooring, carpet and custom cabinets, and all setting materials, wholesale and retail prices. Let us design that special gift, including tile trivets, marble and granite cutting boards, plus one-of-a-kind gift certificates. Desert Stone and Tile, 1,500 square feet of designer packages, including Southwest motifs. 835 South Linda, across from Camps Propane, 751-8006.
Hi, welcome back to Sports Talk. Talking about the Miami, Florida situation. Miami, Florida, of course, was hoping to get a big victory against Florida in anticipation of Oklahoma losing to Florida State. Well, of course, that didn't happen. But, your mind is so washed with Miami, Florida being the team that should be the other, that should be playing Oklahoma instead of Florida State. You look at some of these other teams that were involved in this NCAA championship race. I still don't buy the BCS. I don't think it works. There's too much that has to happen for it to be successful. Yeah, it was successful this year by luck. Normally, an 11-point favorite's going to win the game, and I think you got Washington with one loss, who beat Miami of Florida. Why does Miami of Florida become the team that should win the NCAA championship when Washington beat them? They have one loss. Oregon State had one loss, and their one loss was against Washington. How come nobody was talking about Washington? If you watched the Rose Bowl, Washington might have looked like the best team in the country. As we go to the next game we want to talk about, Oklahoma and Florida State, number 1 versus number 2. If this wasn't the worst game of the whole weekend, Florida State coming in 10.5-point favorites, scores 2 points. That's 1 each half if you divide it in 2. Final score, Oklahoma 13, Florida State 2. How was Florida State in this NCAA championship game over these teams? There's got to be a better way of doing things. Take 16 teams. Let them play 4 games. After 1 week you have 8. After the second week you have 4. And after the third week you got the two champions. If you got to cut the preseason games out, cut them out. Let these guys play it on the field. That's why football's the best sport in the world, because you got one champion, one game. Okay, we got a caller. Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, it's Ray Mello. How you
Hi,
doing,
Ray.
Bill?
How you doing, pal?
Doing all right. Will you send your brother back in a big white limousine, huh?
Yeah, he's coming back next month for the Super Bowl. At the end of the month for the Super Bowl.
Well, I can just picture him on Highway 1.
Yeah, he made it home all right.
Up
So,
the coast, in that big limo sitting in the back seat,
Yeah.
The professional on the side of it,
He was asleep at halftime of the Oklahoma game. That's all I know.
But that Notre Dame was disappointing, wasn't
Oh,
it?
jeez.
Geez, I couldn't watch the end of the game, Bill.
I'm
I
glad
had to shut it off.
It was unbelievable. 41-9. They had really no offensive game plan whatsoever. They had 6 plays that lost 5 yards or more rushing. So I mean that tells you a lot about their game plan.
But that fumble on the 1 yard line, the guy was like hamming it up or something,
Yeah.
and he just let go of the ball.
How does the referee miss that?
How did I don't know.
I mean, he's following him. If you've seen the replay, the referee is 3 yards behind him. And the ball, not only did he drop the ball, it landed on the 1. That's the amazing thing.
But you see so many of these guys running with the ball
Yeah.
and like taunting at the end
Exactly.
of the ball. I think the coach should come right down on them saying, hey, look, after you score, it's a different situation. But when you're running Uncle playing with that football.
Well, see, the thing is, I think you have a handful of coaches that are capable of doing that. You don't do something like that if your coach is Mike Ditka or Marty Schottenheimer or somebody, or Bill Parcells especially, some of these guys that get in your face. But the situation here with Oregon State, everything was going good for them. Dennis Erickson's another type of guy that, is really, he bears down on mistakes. Nobody likes mistakes, but some teams accept them. I mean, you take a coach like Norv Turner, who's very relaxed. He just accepted fumbles and penalties. Yeah, he was upset, but he's not upset like some of these guys, and they let you know it, Ray.
Well, you and a professional were right on in the Philadelphia game in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Tampa never in
Yeah.
the cold weather, and boy, they just didn't do nothing.
They were absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
And go ahead, Ray.
So your statistic was pretty good. I guess you researched that when you said, what was it, 30-some games, was it?
It was. I said it was 0-20 something. The real statistic was 0-19. They went to 0-20 with that loss. And the amazing thing, Ray, is after the game, Tony Dungy said he's standing pat with his offense. He's keeping his offensive coordinator. He's very happy with his team. And you know what? It's going to be the same story next year. Tampa Bay had a chance this year to be the first team to play the Super Bowl in their home stadium. And, they started out strong, and then they lost, 4 straight games after Keyshawn kept opening his mouth. And, they really very disappointing. One of the favorites to win the Super Bowl this year, and first week they're out.
Well, maybe they'll get hand warmers next year in case they go to a cold
I think
cold state.
they need more than hand warmers. They got Keyshawn Johnson, Vasquez Green. Even though I'm not a Johnson fan, he's a dangerous receiver. Vasquez Green, they got Rydell Anthony, and you got running backs like Mike Allstott and Warwick Dunn. You got 5 offensive weapons. You need to produce some points. You need to go downfield with the ball. The football nowadays that they're playing isn't the football of 25, 30 years ago when the Dolphins had Zonka, Kick, and Morris. Football now is downfield. Football now is Kurt Warner and Brian Griese and Dante Culpepper. It's completely downfield. Even the Saints with the quarterback Aaron Brooks, he never played a game in his life, threw for 400 yards a couple of weeks ago. A double threat. But nowadays you can't start by running the ball. That's why I think the Giants have, they're going to be either this week or next week. They're not going to see a Super Bowl this year. They're not going to rely on Tiki Barber and Ron Dane to take them to the promised land. I don't think they're going to be able to do it because I think you're going to have to pass the ball to set up the run, and Kerry Collins is not capable of doing that, right?
Well, Miami's still alive, right?
They are alive.
Yeah. Well, they just pulled it out at the end, didn't it?
Well, again, Miami playing Indianapolis. Indianapolis with a 14-0 lead. They came in the second half thinking if they got 3 more points, they're going to win the game.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they didn't get the 3 points until late in the game, and it ended up being a tie and going to overtime. But Indianapolis had a chance before it went to overtime. They had 23 seconds on the clock, a couple of timeouts. They were at their own 20, granted, but they had a 40-mile-an-hour wind at their back. 2 completions, and Mike Vanderjagt, of course, he missed a field goal in overtime, but before that, he missed 2 field goals in the last 2 years, and he was kicking 65-yard field goals in practice. You really have nothing to lose in that situation by throwing the ball downfield. A turnover, and the half is over. You're going to overtime. So, Jim Mora went to 0-6 after that game in the playoffs, and I think that's stuff you really got to start thinking about when these coaches can't win a playoff game.
Well, they figured they had it in the bag with that kicker. They just figured he would not miss that one, so they.
I don't blame Mora. I don't blame Mora for the kick in overtime. I blame Mora for not trying to score before it went to overtime. I mean, when you got a chance to score and it's the playoffs and when you lose and you're out, you better try and score.
Yeah.
So.
You betcha. All right, I'll be talking to you then.
Thanks, Ray. I appreciate the call.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right. Okay, we got a lot more to talk about. We got Super Bowl odds. We're going to look at the games. We're going to talk about the parlay card we have at Terriblestown with a couple of props on it for you. And, of course, our Terriblestown football Super Bowl party coming up January 28th. We'll be right back.
Too firm? Too soft? Then get a Spring Air mattress for both comfort and support. Spring Air, the mattress with the just right feeling.
Hate flipping your mattress? Do you really hate flipping your mattress? Then rest easy with the new Spring Air Never Turn mattress. It's made so well you never have to turn it.
Hi, I'm Bob at True Value Store here in Pahrump.
It's the newest hardware store in Pahrump, folks. That's right. Serving all your electrical plumbing needs right here on 850 Lola Lane, folks, right in the heart of town. That's right, 727-1582. Head on over to True Value Hardware and check out their huge lumber yard, including culverts. Inside, check out the large showroom, including faucets, building materials, accessories, paints, all types of garden supplies. Head on over. Their friendly staff will take care of you today. True Value Hardware, the newest hardware store in Pahrump.
Nevada's only winery, Pahrump Valley Vineyards, produces a unique selection of international award-winning wines, a perfect accompaniment to a memorable meal in their beautifully appointed dining room. Take a tour of the winery and enjoy a wine tasting. Private wine labels are available, and there's a selection of unique gifts for that special occasion. Pahrump Valley Vineyards is located at 3810 Winery Road. Telephone 727-6900.
You'll enjoy luxury living when you call Avco's beautiful chateau home. It's 2,330 square feet of elegance, from the spacious living room to the cozy fireplace and spectacular pool setting. There's 3 bedrooms and 3 1/4 beautiful bathrooms. A spacious kitchen and exquisite oak cabinetry throughout. Call us 727-0209.
Gallery of Home Furnishings, located off Highway 160 in Basin. Have you been waiting on getting the perfect computer or work desk? Well, wait no longer. We have a great selection. At the Gallery of Home Furnishings, receive a free floral arrangement with any dinette purchased. Gallery of Home Furnishings has a great selection of accessories and the largest selection of recliners in the valley. We have Simmons and Spring Air mattresses in stock and ready for same-day delivery. If you have back problems, you will want a Simmons Back Care System, the Gallery of Home Furnishings.
Pahrump has a new transmission shop. It's called Pahrump Transmission. Pahrump Transmission specializes in all makes and models, foreign and domestic. They work on standard, automatic, electronic, and overdrive transmissions. Pahrump Transmission is the home of the free road test, free transmission check, free adjustment, and free towing with major repairs. Come in and check out their $17.95 transmission service special. Ask Pahrump Transmission about their lifetime warranty.
Our housewares department is growing rapidly. We're having a great deal of volume there. We got some killer deals on just about anything you need for your houseware, whether it be a blender, whether it be a toaster, whether it be a coffee maker, whether it be a microwave. We have all those in stock now, and they're coming in droves, getting ready for the winter seasons here. Also, our housewares or our giftware department, that has stuff for your special occasions, your kids' gifts, for the adult gifts. We pretty much have something for everybody here at Ace Home Center. Come by, check it out, see what we got. We've got women's foo-foo stuff, you know, I mean, that really, the stuff, you know, that makes all these guys go crazy, you women love because you like to smell good, and we like for you to smell good. We got that stuff here now. We've got cards, we've got knickknacks, we got all kinds of things. If you need something special for that special person, come down to 8 Floyd's Ace Home Center, check it out, see what we got. You'll probably be amazed.
Hi, welcome back to Sports Talk. Just a couple more things about the Florida State-Oklahoma game. The game really was decided on third down situations. If you watch the game, Oklahoma, 7 of 19 on third down. Florida State, 1 of 15. Really didn't live up to the hype of a number 1 versus number 2. Like I was saying earlier, we have to do something with this bowl situation because it just simply doesn't work. I want to go to a caller. We got a caller on air. Go ahead, caller.
Hey, Bill, it's Mark.
Mark, how you doing, pal?
Good, man. I appreciate your doing the show every Friday, and I want to thank you for a winning season. I've followed your picks of the week, and I'm in the plus section, which is feels good.
I appreciate it, Mark. I got a car payment due the 7th of January, if you can help me out.
I'm sure. And,
I'm only kidding,
and a raise is due at T-Town.
Yeah, we'll talk about that over breakfast.
I agree with your earlier comment that nobody needs a Bobby Knight. But at the same time, being a graduate of IU, when Bobby Knight was there, he did make all of his players make their grades.
Okay, let me go back to that statement. I don't mean they don't need a Bobby Knight. I don't mean they need a guy of Bobby Knight's age. It's not a Bobby Knight that I don't like. I'm a Bobby Knight fan. I think Bobby Knight never had any problems with any of his kids scholastically. During the latter part of his career, obviously, he's had problems with his temper. Some of it might be blown out of proportion because he is Bobby Knight, but Indiana has always run a clean program, and my statement definitely wasn't derogatory towards his coaching, but I think UNLV has to get a guy that's going to commit, be here, build a program back up, and I'm talking a guy 35, 40, even 40, 45 years old. Bobby Knight is a guy that can go in and turn around any program right now, but I'm talking about the long run.
Exactly, and I agree with you.
Yeah.
And Bobby Knight never misled any of his players that they were ever going to be pros.
No.
He always made them insist that they made their grades. And to follow up on that, it's amazing, and I would love to hear your input and would love to know the inside story on the Gators' #1 wide receiver who, throughout the season, makes straight A's, and now all of a sudden he's making straight F's just before the bowl game.
That's right. You're talking about Minnis for Florida State. The guy, yeah.
I would love to know the real story.
How does it happen? I mean, that's what I'm talking about. These guys play all year, and all of a sudden, after they make their bowl, which is $13.5 million that the school makes, they found out, well, his grades really weren't up to par this semester.
Yeah, the fix is all of a sudden not in.
Right. So you got.
I agree with you 1,000%. The bowl scenario is not working.
No, even though it did work, it's not working.
Exactly.
Okay, Mark, man, I appreciate the call. Make sure you listen next week.
I will.
Thanks,
Bill.
pal. Speaking of next week, of course, next Friday we will have the AFC NFC Championship games to talk about, which will be coming up Sunday. But the following week will be a bye week for me. I'm going to take the week off, and then, of course, the next week before Super Bowl, I'll be right back here. So I'll be here next week, but not the following week, so make sure you tune in. Let's go to the Super Bowl odds, and right on top of the Super Bowl odds, you have the Vikings at 5-2, of course, with the Tennessee Titans both at 5-2, favorite to go to the Super Bowl. Raiders next at 7-2, followed by followed by the Eagles, the Saints, the Dolphins, and, of course, the Ravens. The Ravens, though, could be a surprise team. The Ravens started out the season at 50-1. We're bet down to 40 and 30, and now, of course, you can find them at 6 and 7-1. So the Super Bowl is a wide-open race. Anybody can win it. That's why football is the best sport on earth. And we're going to go right to the games on Saturday. The first game we want to talk about, 9:30 in the morning on Fox Channel 5 locally, the Saints and the Vikings. Vikings an 8.5-point favorite, the total of 51.5. Last week, the Saints knock out the Rams 31-7, but with 10 minutes left in the game, the Saints beat the Rams 31-28, but with 10 minutes to go in the game, they held the lead 31-7, barely holding on. Az Hakim fumbles the ball at his 10-yard line with under 2 minutes to go, which was the deciding factor. People wanted to know why he was back there, why they just let the ball go. Az Hakim, as far as returns per fumbles, is the highest in the league for fumbles per return. He averages a fumble every 7 returns. But if you look at Az Hakim, he also leads the league in punt return average and touchdown. So, one way or the other, he's either great or he's bad. And unfortunately for the Rams, they didn't have a chance to repeat as Super Bowl champions. But looking at the game this week, you got to look at the Saints, offensively ranked 10th in the league, defensively ranked 8th. The Vikings ranked 5th offensively, defense ranked 28th. And let me tell you something, Minnesota's defense by far is the worst defense in the NFL playoffs remaining out of these 8 teams. For Minnesota to beat the Saints, the line is 8.5, but don't be fooled. They're not an 8.5 point better team than the Saints are. Minnesota's 8.5 because they had a bye week. They had a week to get healthy, and Dante Culpepper's ankle is about 90% now. Minnesota needs to come out and attack the Saints through the air. Forget Robert Smith right, forget Robert Smith left. Attack the Saints through the air, make the cornerbacks, respect the receivers, have the linebackers move back in coverage. That's when you use Robert Smith. That's when he's the most effective, when he has room to run. If they come out running the ball, if you see Minnesota run the ball on 1st and 2nd down tomorrow, it's all over with. They have no shot. That's what they did their last 3 games. When they went to St. Louis, the Rams are scoring 30 or 40 against them. What do? They start running the ball. They're down 14-0 and they couldn't recover. Minnesota's not a good team coming back. They're a team that needs to start fast, and if they don't, there's going to be problems. For the Saints, you got Ricky Williams. He's doubtful. Also, Joe Horn, who was injured last week but stayed on the sidelines. Great team player. In uniform, never left, never went and showered, stayed in uniform, rooted his teammates on. He was a big motivator for the Saints. I think this can be a great game. I personally think Minnesota wins the game, but 8.5 points I think is a huge number. They can cover it. It wouldn't shock me. It's a tough game to lay or take 8.5 points. The total, on the other hand, I like Minnesota and New Orleans both to score over 50.5 points. That is the number around town. You got to figure Minnesota's good for 35 at home, and you got to figure the Saints, the Saints are going to score in the 20s or 30s against Minnesota's defense. I think the Saints and Vikings total over 50.5 is the best play of Saturday. Let's go to the second game, the Dolphins and the Raiders. Raiders coming in an 8.5-point favorite against Miami. Last week, Miami beat Indianapolis 23-17 in overtime. Jay Fiedler trailing 14-0 at halftime had the pat on the back from Dave Wannstedt. He stuck with Fiedler. Fiedler led him on a comeback, playing injured, a torn rotator cuff in his left shoulder. I was one of the people that thought he should come out. I'm not saying I thought he should come out from ineffectiveness. I just thought the guy's playing hurt. Let's get somebody in there that can play 100%. But he showed the guts of a lion out there, and he brought Miami back and advanced Miami into the second round against the Raiders. This is one of the great rivalries in pro football when it used to be Shula and Madden and Greasy and Stabler way back when. It was always a great game. Lamar Smith last week for Miami, 40 carries, 209 yards, and 2 touchdowns. The big story here for the Colts, Jim Mora drops to 0-6 in the postseason. This week, the Dolphins and the Raiders. Offensively, the Dolphins 26th in the league, 6th defensively. Their defense, super defense. When you consider you're playing in the same division with the Colts, very high potent offense. You play the Jets a couple of times. Buffalo, always capable of putting points on the board. Being 6th in the league is very respectable. Raiders offensively are 6th, defensively 17th. And again, you look at the Raiders defensively 17th and say, well, it's middle of the road, it's halfway there. Remember, they play Denver twice, they play Kansas City twice. Denver got the best offense in the NFL, so that 17 may be a little out of order. I personally think the Raiders defense is an underrated bunch. I think Charles Woodson is a great cornerback, a team leader, and I look for Oakland to put a lot of pressure on Fiedler this week. No comfort zone at all, and don't look for Lamar Smith to have 200 yards rushing against the Raiders. Injury report, the Dolphins' Leslie Shepard is questionable, and for the Raiders, Napoleon Kaufman is questionable. The total, though, in this game is pretty surprising. You got a total of 42.5 in this game. You got a defensive team like Miami. You had a running back run 40 times for him last week. You got a quarterback that's hurt. And you know their defense is going to come to play against Oakland. Oakland comes in with Rich Gannon leading the way. Running backs Tyrone Wheatley, we said Kaufman's questionable, and Tim Brown on the outside. Oakland's capable of putting points on the board, but it seems when Miami plays outside of the playoff game last year with Jacksonville, the other teams usually play Miami's style of offense. I look for a pretty close game. Oakland winning the game, but I think the game stays under 42.5. Sunday's game. This is a great matchup. The Ravens and the Titans. These teams have met each other twice this year. The Titans open 3.5-point favorites. The line is up to 6 in most sports books at Terriblestown currently. The Titans are 4.5-point favorites. We haven't had much action on the game. Last week, Jamal Lewis had 30 carries for 110 yards and 2 touchdowns. Defense allowed only 9 first downs and 1 rushing first down for the Ravens against the Denver Broncos. And anybody that follows football knows the Denver Broncos run the football. You only give up 1 rushing first down to Denver, you've done a full day's work. Offensively, the Ravens are ranked 16th in the league. Defensively, ranked 2nd. But, of course, they gave up the least amount of points in NFL history this year. Rankings, of course, are based on yardage. Tennessee owns the 14th ranked offense and the #1 defense in the league. You look at the line, Tennessee, minus 4.5 with a total of 33.5. 33.5, an awful low number. But when you got the best 2 defensive teams in the league playing against each other, and you're playing in Tennessee, and you got that noise, and it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to score the points. 33.5, though, is too low for me. I would lay off the total, and I think 6 points is too much to give the Ravens. I like the dog in that game. Last game on Sunday, Eagles and the Giants. Giants coming in a 4.5-point favorite. The game opened 6, bet down to 4.5. A lot of Eagle money on the game. Now, last week, Donovan McNabb, 24 of 33, 1 interception, 2 touchdowns, 161 yards. Chris Warren, the late acquisition from the Dallas Cowboys, got him off waivers, 22 carries, 85 yards. The big story for Philadelphia, the success rate, 9 of 18 on third down conversions. And that's the type of team they are. 4 yards on the ground, 4 through the air, and another 3 running or passing. Donovan McNabb has picked teams apart recently. Eagles offensively ranked 17th in the league, defensively ranked 10th. Giants 13th offensively and 5th defensively. Of course, the bye week is going to help the Giants. Joe Jurevicius is nursing an injury. He's supposed to be coming back. But the bye week should help the Giants. They haven't lost to Philly, I believe, in 6 years, 12 straight games. Philadelphia knows it. Andy Reid, the coach, knows it. Look for Philadelphia to come out, even though they played last week, and give a great effort. It's going to be a close game. It's going to be a hard-fought game. Again, the total in this game, 33.5, might be a little high. But again, it's hard to play under 33.5 in an NFL game. For the Eagles, Stanley Pritchett is going to be out. He hurt his leg last week. Autry, the other running back who missed last week, is questionable to come back. But like I said, Chris Warren, 22 carries for 85 yards. The week off for the Giants proved them to be a big help for them. No injuries outside of Jurevicius, but he is expected to play. Okay, before I go here, I want to talk about the parlay card we have at Terriblestown. Just a couple of the props on there. No other place in the state of Nevada has a parlay card. We put some together for the playoffs. We do have the normal part of the parlay card. We have the team with the total, but we also have stuff such as total combined completes for both teams. You could bet over or under 38.5 in the Vikings game, 32.5 in Oakland, 33.5 in Baltimore, and 34.5 in the Giants game. Also, propositions such as most receptions, Chris Carter versus Randy Moss, most yards rushing, Lamar Smith versus Tyrone Wheatley, and Eddie George versus Jamal Lewis, and Amani Toomer for the Giants versus Chad Reed of the Eagles. So a lot of choices, 16 different types of wagers you can have. Make sure you come on down to Terriblestown. It is on the half-point parlay card, the highest payouts in the state, 12.5 to 1 for four teams. You find a parlay card that pays more, bring it to me, and I'll raise the odds to that parlay card. Also, don't forget that the Terriblestown football party will be held at Terriblestown in the bingo room January 28th. Tickets are $10. Only 100 for sale this year. All you can eat and drink. A great time. Lots of giveaways. Food and drink. You got jerseys, footballs, T-shirts, hats. Super Bowl glasses just came in. And we're also going to be giving away cash for touchdowns, field goals, and a big bonus prize for a safety. So make sure you get down to Terriblestown. Tickets will go on sale Tuesday. So you'll know who's going to be in the NFC and AFC championship game. Last year, a lot of people waited till the end, and they came by wanting tickets. There were no tickets. Fire codes permit us only to have 120 people in the bingo room. So make sure you get down there Tuesday and pick up your tickets because they will go fast. I'd like to thank everybody for watching. I'd like to thank the callers. I'd like to thank Channel 41 for having me. And, of course, I'll be back next week at 7:30 the same time, and I'll have the week off next week. It's been a pleasure. I want to wish a happy birthday to my little buddy, Billy. He turned 9 years old yesterday. I love you, pal. We'll see you next week.
Rick Pete Chrysler Jeep Dodge, Pahrum's only complete automobile dealership. Your one-stop for all vehicles, new and used. Our friendly sales staff is here to assist you in finding just the right car, van, or truck. Our large parts department and professional service technicians will keep your vehicles running smoothly. Whether